So Stef, in all these mock drafts, you try not to go chalk, but sometimes the chalk just happens to be chalk because it comes true, and that's what happened with Najee Harris. Round 1, pick 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. We all know they desperately need a running back. We all think, are they going to go Najee? Are they going to go Najee? They have all sorts of needs. Sure enough, they do. And there's been some split reaction on Najee Harris to Pittsburgh, but I'm all in. I'm all in. I love this landing spot. Najee was my best prospect coming into this NFL draft. The Steelers were dead last in rushing yards per game and yards per carry last season, so they desperately needed an overhaul in the backfield. They're a team that historically has had really good running backs. So I love this landing spot, Najee to Pittsburgh. Steph, what's your first reaction on this one?
I love it. I love it. And I love it so much because we know the pass catching volume is going to be there. You know, we know what Najee is just looking at him, right? He's a beast of a human being, 6'1", 230 pounds. I have an Alabama fan as one of my friends, and he just calls this guy, oh, he's the next Derrick Henry. He was like, oh, the Steelers just took the next Derrick Henry. It's like, whoa, easy there, buddy. Yeah, Derrick Henry's like 250, and he gets 300 carries. Look, I don't know if Najee can get there, but I think 280
sure
is his ceiling, especially this season. If you just add up Benny Snell and James Conner from 2020, that's about where you're going to land. And then if you add up targets to running backs from last year, there were 67 targets to the running back position. So I don't know if Najee's going to get the keys to the kingdom from game one, but I think he'll get there pretty quick. And that's why you got to love him. That's why he's going to be the RB1 for most of us. I did actually end up, it was splitting hairs. I had ETN just slightly over Najee, but after this landing spot, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Just because I do think that passing work is going to be so steady. As long as Big Ben is at quarterback, just like ETN, the one eyebrow-raising part of Najee's profile is that he wasn't an early declare. He doesn't have the highest top-end speed. He actually didn't run in any of the testing, whether it's pro day or combines this year. So we don't really know what to go off of. I have questions about what his true top speed is, but the way that he's utilized in the passing game, the way he just looks when he's out there, you can put him in the slot. I see a lot of Big Ben moving Najee to the slot, depending on what the defense gives them. I think it's going to be great. And I do think he is going to be efficient through the air. I think he will get used on the goal line. This is everything we wanted. And I think I talked about it for like the last 3 rookie shows that we did is Najee Harris to Pittsburgh. And then it actually happened. And that's such a great feeling. This was a smash spot for fantasy players. There was nothing better, I don't think, that we could have asked for. I have him as a top 10 running back in dynasty and redraft already.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you, and it feels good. I mean, Najee to me is a huge upgrade from James Conner in terms of his ability. No, we don't know, with a 40-yard dash time what that top end speed is, but just looking at his film, he's quick. He's a big guy, but he's quick as well. He's got great agility. He also can run with power. You don't know if he's going to go around you or if he's going to go through you. He can catch the ball as well. Very tactful for his size. 43 receptions in 13 games last season. And that's why I think Najee is going to be a workhorse from day one. I think he's going to come in and just straight dominate. I think he's going to get just about every touch in this backfield. Sure, you'll have Anthony McFarland sprinkled in, maybe Benny Snell when he needs a break. But I think in terms of what we think of as a workhorse, like 20 carries a game and a couple targets a game, that is what we're going to see from Najee Harris this season. So if you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's what they want to do. It's what they've done historically. You think about even James Conner was essentially a workhorse back when he was healthy. You think about Le'Veon Bell. Even D'Angelo Williams was a workhorse back, fantastic for fantasy when Le'Veon Bell missed time. So I do expect Najee to be a workhorse from day one.
Now, you mentioned a few people were down on the Steelers landing spot, and I think the reason, we all know why, and we saw it play out in 2020, is their offensive line was starting to crumble a little bit. I think that was part of the woes that James Conner saw, was also part of that offensive line, also the fact that he's on the downswing. But for Najee, do you think he can overcome the O-line? Do you have worries long-term for that situation? Or is it like, hey, he's going to start with the bad O-line with only opportunity to go up and increase efficiency of the O-line improve?
That's how I think about it. I do worry short-term a little bit about the O-line, to be honest with you. That is the only red flag to me, is the incredible inefficiency of this Pittsburgh Steelers running game. And I said it earlier, they were last in the league in yards per carry. And that's what ultimately led to them being last in the league in rush yards per game, because they just stopped running the ball because they straight up could not do it. They also lost Matt Filer, their offensive tackle, their right tackle in free agency, to the Chargers. But they did pick up some O-linemen in round 3 and round 4 of this draft. Not saying, a round 3 and a round 4 guy are going to come in and be the saviors for the Steelers O-line, but it's at least something in the right direction in terms of depth. I don't think it's going to be a great offensive line unit this season, but looking forward, hopefully they can continue to improve it for Najee. And as we've been talking about his skill profile, I'm really hoping they can get him out in some open space, really utilize him in unique ways, get him outside as well, because he's not just this big between the tackles runner. He can get outside. So hopefully the touchdown upside is there as well, because he is a better runner inside the red zone, inside the 10, inside the 5 than James Conner was. So hopefully when they get in there, they're not just passing it with Ben Roethlisberger, and Najee's touchdown upside can be there.
It's actually funny. You mentioned Le'Veon Bell, and that's very easy, comp to make with Pittsburgh Steelers, workhorse running backs. Mike Tomlin still running the show there. Le'Veon Bell was taken in the middle of the second round, the 216. He came in at 6'1", 230. Very similar to Najee Harris, man. Very similar. And if we look at some of those season-long stat lines, in 2013, his first season, 244 carries for 860 yards, 66 targets, and caught 45 of those for another 400 yards. So had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage as a rookie, had 8 touchdowns as a rookie. And then you look beyond that, he had seasons where he had 290 carries, 260 carries, 321 carries, 245 carries.
Jeez.
And some of those same seasons had over 100 targets, 94 targets, 106 targets, 78 targets. Like, that's the workload, that's the volume that Najee Harris could see, and I think that's why you and I are all over Harris, and everybody else should be. This is actually a very chalk option, a very chalk landing spot. It just all came together. I'm just so happy from a fantasy perspective. Now we get another 3-down workhorse back, because that is a dying breed, and we need those for our fantasy roster. So get Najee as your RB1. I'm excited to see, once we come around to redraft season, I think he's going to be pretty high from an ADP standpoint, but back of the first round, early second round, I could totally see him going there for 2021.
Yeah, I could totally see it. And I love the Le'Veon Bell comp, kind of thinking long-term, like starts out super high floor because of the volume, because of the involvement in the passing game. But long-term, the upside just continues to go up and up as the workload continues to increase. And when I think about Najee in redraft this year, when I think about his rookie season, even for the Pittsburgh Steelers producing, I think almost to like a Leonard Fournette when he was a rookie in Jacksonville. Not necessarily from a style of play perspective. I'm not comping their skill sets, but almost from a situation. Like, the volume was high, the efficiency was low. When Fournette was a rookie, he only had 3.9 yards per carry, but he had that workhorse role. He was involved in the passing game, and he finished the season as a top 10 PPR running back. So to me, Najee Harris could come in. He could see 230 to 250 carries and get those 50, 60 targets. If he sees that, even if he's at 3.8, 3.9 yards per carry, he's going to be a top 10 PPR running back. So I love Najee as a rookie. I love him long-term in Dynasty. I love him in this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And if they can continue to improve that offensive line over the next 2 to 3 seasons, he could be one of these guys that in 2 years we're talking about as one of the top 2, 3, 4 picks off the board year in and year out. I have no doubt about that.
Boom.